Om Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to another Yoga Small Talk, and we continue with 7 minutes Bhagavad Gita a day. We are still reading from chapter 6, the Yoga of Meditation, and we are just at the conclusion of the chapter where Lord Krishna describes to Arjuna the great advantages of the practice of yoga in response to Arjuna's concern that if he doesn't reach the goal of yoga, meaning that at the end of the specific birth, he is not self-realized, he is neither here, meaning not in the ritualistic practices, nor in the yoga because he didn't reach. So he was very concerned, and we saw how Lord Krishna was soothing this concern of Arjuna and describing to him the possible births, the birth in the house of the wealthy, where he can have a comfortable enough life so that he can reach to the practices of yoga once again, or even better, the birth in the house of the wise yogis, where by the force of this very birth, all the samskaras, the latent impressions of the yogic knowledge will wake up, and the yogi will be very, very much inspired to continue with the practice, and this time to conclude the course of practice, to reach the highest goal. And we have reached verse 44, the continuation of the answer. By that very former practice, he is borne on in spite of himself. Even he who merely wishes to know yoga goes beyond the Brahmic world. Now, Lord Krishna is connecting the question of the next birth with the question of the advantages here and hereafter. So he's starting to take the answer to the next level, to the bigger perspective, which is very beautiful. So he's telling us that by the former practice, meaning by the practice done in previous births, he is born in spite of himself. Even if the person didn't want to once again have a human body, he will get the human body, because the human body is the means for attaining self-realization. This is the vehicle for the practice. So he will be born again, and even by the very desire, merely wishes to know yoga, we will of course elaborate in a moment, he goes beyond the Brahmic world, meaning he transcends the what you would call the more common materialistic existence. So Swami Shivananda explains to us that even an inquirer in whom a desire for information about yoga is kindled goes beyond the Brahmic world, i.e. the Vedas. He rises superior to the performer of the Vedic rituals and ceremonies. He is beyond the entanglement of forms and ceremonics. He is not satisfied with mere ritualism. He thirsts for a satisfaction higher than that given by the sensual objects. He who simply wishes to know the nature of the principles of yoga, notice how Swami Shivananda highlights this, frees himself from the Shabda Brahma, meaning from the effects of the Vedic rituals and ceremonies. If this is the case of a simple inquirer, how much more exalted should be the condition of a real practitioner or knower of yoga, or of one who is established in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the seedless superconscious state. He will be absolutely free from the effects of the Vedic rituals and ceremonies. He will enjoy the eternal bliss and everlasting peace of the eternal. So, very beautiful commentary by Swami Shivananda. And for us, many of us who started practicing already felt it, because what happens? Either, the end of the day, something wakes up in us, but something needs to wake this knowledge, this desire to know, something needs to wake it up. So either we're having a crisis, or we're having a very good life, but things don't add up. So for instance, crisis, we are faced with some sorrows and pains of life, and we ask ourselves, Swami Shivananda wrote in his very, very beautiful autobiographic essay, How God Came into My Life, he wrote, after being a medical doctor for some time and seeing all the suffering in the world, he started asking himself, what's happening here? And he felt deep within that this world cannot be just the hell that he's seeing with his patients. So full of misery and suffering, just, a place where people come to suffer. There must be something beyond. And Swami Shivananda was at that time a very, very, very successful medical doctor. But he woke up to this understanding because of the suffering of others. And then we have other people whose life seems to be okay. I mean, they're okay financially, they have nice friends, everything, it looks okay. But they feel from within that it cannot be that this is all there is to it. There has to be something beyond this very, very, very short, unpleasant to say, but short period in which we exist in this body, compared, of course, to the history of creation. And we go through some experiences and expire. So they wake up. So all those people, they wake up to this question, what's going on? And where this question takes them and how does this work, we will see in the next video. So please join us. Om Shanti.